Welcome back, friends. John's Comics with Friends here, and another Omnibus review show. We've been doing a ton of these. There's a little playlist going on here on the channel. If you're thinking about trying to find your next read, we got an epic playlist for you. Me and this guy.
Hey, what's up? So we're talking Dungeon Crawler Carl book 2, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're due for about 7 of those. So yeah, that doesn't even count the SJM ones we got to do.
Oh yeah, we're a little behind on those.
It's me. I'm way behind.
It's me. I'm the problem.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, this is JP. If you don't know JP, welcome in. You got a great opportunity to click a link down below and subscribe and get great comic book content that's, obviously more valuable than what we're doing here with shenanigans. But appreciate that you've helped me over the last, I think have we been doing this for about a year now?
We started, I think, January or around January.
We've been month by month as best as possible.
Oh no, actually we started before that because we did.
I thought we did. I thought it was the fall.
It's been about a year now. You're right.
We've been kicking off DC and Marvel Omnis or collected editions that we wanted to be reading through, stuff that we both had or both had interest in reading one way or the other. Yeah. Marvel, DC, bouncing back and forth. We are officially finishing off Hawkeye. I've got a collected complete edition trade paperback. He's got the new omnibus that just came out recently. It collects, mine at least says, Hawkeye from 2012 issues 1 through 22 and Hawkeye Annual #1, plus Young Avengers Presents issue 6.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly the same. They have the exact same issues. So.
Famously, this is known as the Matt Fraction and David, and I pronounce it as Asia, volume of Hawkeye, although there are other artists to be mentioned as well, but that's primarily the creative team in this 24 issue omnibus. So we're going to be diving right into that volume tonight. Hopefully you've read an issue 2 from it. Maybe you've seen the Hawkeye television show and you want to see how this relates to that, because they do actually have
by this.
Yeah, they have some crossover, which is also why the graphic design for the some of the credit sequences on Hawkeye have a David Aja feel. We've got our friends in the chat. We got Ruben Guzman. What is going on? Ruby G, White Tigers in the chat. We got my man Matt from Impressed Comics in the chat. What's going on, Matt? He says, love this series. JP's greatest co-host will always be Charlie, though.
Oh, yeah.
This is true.
I can only swing that occasionally. I am not that important. So
if you go back in the playlist, you'll find that these two, Charlie and JP, they reviewed Nightwing, the entire run by Bruno Redondo and Bruno Redondo and Tom Taylor. And you can find that breakdown. It was very entertaining. And we got the comic vet Chris in the chat. What's going on, Chris? He was live earlier tonight. I was hanging out in his chat hearing about what books they all picked up. He does that weekly what have you got pickup, and I picked up only 2 books this week, buddy, but it doesn't mean I didn't get 6 comics.
So
Poison Ivy
4 or 5 Poison Ivy covers.
5 Poison Ivy covers and 1 Birds of Prey cover. So there you go. I got this one from Birds of Prey.
Oh, the Birds of Prey one. Okay.
And then I got all the Poison Ivy covers. Got them all. So yes, expect a Poison Ivy omnibus show at some point down the road here.
Yeah, hopefully I'm sure they will print it. It's popular.
They better, but it's all dependent on how long the run will be, because they're nearing issue 40 here, so very exciting. We got Warlord in the chat. What is going on? Happy Wednesday night to everybody. This is the first of 2 live streams I'm doing tonight, so buckle up, stay hanging out, because new comic book day with Alec comes at the top of the hour here. But let's dive into Fraction and Aja. A little backstory on my side. What I said to JP before we went live is that rereading this, I'm reminded that I probably read about 2/3 of it prior to this experience. That there was a large portion that I remember reading at different phases. I don't think I read it in one sitting, but in like fragments. And then it was probably 2-3 years ago, Alec White Whale Comics said, hey, for book club, why don't we do a throwback issue? Let's read the Pizza Dog issue of Hawkeye. And we just did a whole hour on the one issue focusing on Pizza Dog. So you can find that somewhere buried in the archives on our YouTube channels. But that was I think that was the first time tackling anything in this run for me. I'd heard of it. I'd seen the covers. Not a big Hawkeye guy, so I was kind of like, oh, do I want to read this? That issue was so much fun. I bought this, and then at different points kind of read pieces of it, I suppose. How about you? Had you read any of this? Did you?
This came out when what was 2012, and at that point I had been out of comics because I didn't have a comic book store anywhere near me for a long time. But with the New 52 and some other stuff, I had started dabbling in just digital comics and like reading stuff online and that kind of stuff. And this was one of the series that I looked up some stuff about what was good things to read. And this was one of the series that a lot of people bragged about. And I want to say my thought process was I got through issue 12, but I don't know if that's the case because I think maybe the lucky issue was the last issue that I read.
Okay.
For sure. Then I know I got through the lucky issue. I remember that, but I don't really remember when we got to issue 12. I didn't really remember anything beyond that. And there was even a couple issues that were before that. And I was like, did I read these? Like on the reread. But of course, it's been a long time too since I read any of it. And
for sure.
But I remember like Hawkeye was kind of my impression, not that I'd read a ton of Avengers stuff, but what little bit of the Avengers stuff Hawkeye was kind of like
annoying
joke Avenger. It was kind of like not a character that I really had ever had any interest in any way, shape, or form. At this point, when this was coming out, there was no like maybe we'd gotten him in the movies at that point, but barely. Like he would, so I didn't really have any connection to Hawkeye as a character. At least no positive connection to Hawkeye as a character.
Fair. Also fair. What about Kate at Bishop? Because
Kate I knew nothing about before I read these pages. So
really? Okay.
I didn't know there was another. Of course, she hadn't been around that long at this point, but I did not know there was a young Hawkeye, that there was a female protege, so to speak. I did not know that she existed before I read this.
Okay. And for me, I had done a little bit of Young Avengers and I kind of knew of her and her basics, but she definitely was somebody I had heard about before reading this. And then I want to say I saw the show around the same time as I was dabbling in this. So I kind of, had all of it like happening at the same time. We got our friend Magic Glass on the chat. He says, I'm not good at math, so I'll try to understand Matt Long division. I don't understand what that means. He's trying to make fun.
I'm not sure where you're going with that one.
I think he's fraction. Matt Fraction. He's making a math joke. I got you. I see what you did there. See, it took me a second. Matt figured it out a lot faster.
It took me. It took me too long. I was not on the uptake tonight.
I want to talk a little bit about the fun sort of. I hesitate to call it simple, but the clean, I suppose, look of the artist and the artwork from David Asia here, because I know his work is kind of now sort of synonymous with this volume in that he does the lion's share of it. And it for me, I can't, even when I read other things by David Asia now, I still feel like it's in the Hawkeye universe. It's always kind of like tied in my mind.
Yeah.
What do you think of? Yeah, I can blow that up here. Give me a sec.
What did you flip to an example of just like,
It gives me like David Mazzucchelli, Batman Year One kind of vibes.
A little bit.
As far as very clean lines, not a ton of like over detailing. Color work is very like straightforward. You get shadows and solid colors, but you don't get like skin tones in variations. It's like one solid tone.
Yeah.
Which can give it very clean, like simple looking style, but I think it's incredibly effective and very evocative. And he, more importantly, for me, the best part about it is he tells the story panel to panel in incredibly exciting ways. He really does draw you in and have these kind of fun and unusual panel layouts that really catch the eye and flow left to right, top to bottom in a fun way. Yeah. What about you? What was your feelings about it before, after, during, what have you?
I feel like when you open it, it feels like you're looking at a Silver Age comic to a certain degree, like the style front, it feels like you're looking at an older comic in terms of the way the panels are presented, even though he does some complicated things that they never did back then, and like to help fill in the panels, and he does some great different layouts and stuff. It just like the way the lines are clean, and it comes across as a very simple art style, even though it's not. Like, it takes a lot of work to make it look that simple.
Which is tricky. I think it can be deceiving, especially in the day of AI and digital artwork as the common
but it
mode.
all works. It's really, it grabs you. It's not a style that you maybe like if you flip to it and weren't reading it, that it might like you might not be like, oh, that's kind of, I don't know. And then but like once you start reading it, and really like you talk about the way he tells the story panel to panel, I think really is exceptional in this comic. And I think that's really where, like, whatever you think of the way he draws faces or the way he does anything else, the way he tells a story across a page is exceptional, in my opinion, and really benefits the rest of the actual style of the art, elevates the style of the art, and elevates the story that Fraction is telling, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. And what could become maybe a boring character in Clint Barton and his constant foibles and mistakes, I think becomes this kind of cheeky, fun, lighthearted story. It plays nicely with Matt Fraction's sort of naturally comedic, sarcastic writing style. His tempo and the pacing of the artwork as you read it, I think match really nicely.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that completely.
So do we want to get into ultimately we kind of have two stories here, right? And they connect and interweave, but it's Clint and it's Kate Bishop. And at one point they separate, and you have Kate in California and Clint still doing Clint stuff.
Doing Clint stuff, effing up.
But the obviously the centerpiece is Clint Barton, no longer really an Avenger, struggling financially, trying to make ends meet, and he has ostensibly purchased an apartment complex. He's living in it, and he's the handyman, and he's just trying to make it work. But of course, it's in a seedier neighborhood, and there are criminals that he feels honor bound to deal with as an Avenger. And so a lot of the story is the stupid crap that Clint gets into.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he's trying to like start a life, I guess,
in order to like buy the building, because he's been living in this building, and he's gotten to know all these tenants, and the building is owned by, if you've watched the TV show, the Tracksuit Mafia that we get, bro. And how many times do they say bro in the series? 1 billion.
I don't know, bro. Why you do this, bro?
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
That's wrong, bro. And Clint basically, he and Kate thwart some villains who are trying to rob, basically like the Kingpin and other villains. These are villains trying to rob villains. They thwart the robbery, end up with all the money, and Clint just like takes it and forces the Tracksuit Mafia to take the money so he can buy the building. And it's just like, here's this money, I now own the building. And there's like, which they didn't want to sell him. And he doesn't really have any sort of like deed or anything to. And it's just, I mean, he's just half-assing his way through. And basically in this, you get the impression in this book, through life as well as the situation he's going on, is he's basically screwed up almost every relationship he's been a part of, whether it be the Avengers or actual relationships with female characters, the women in his life, and he's actively trying to screw up this mentor-mentee relationship with Kate.
Yep.
Despite himself, not that he wants to, but he's actively sabotaging himself.
Yes.
Pretty much the whole book.
Yeah. He is his biggest problem. And that's an ongoing theme in this series. And I don't know if I've seen it presented as honestly with him until this book. Like the Hawkeye I've read in Avengers or West Coast Avengers, he's always, you know, a bit of an idiot and a bit of a rube and flawed. But I don't know if it's played to the same comedic extent as Fraction pushes it here. Maybe that's just my impression.
I mean, Fraction leans into Clint being flawed and that Clint, you know, being his own worst enemy. And he's not actively trying to sabotage these relationships. But he just he doesn't know how to like
do much of anything.
Like be a good, it's not that he doesn't know how to be a good person. He just doesn't know how to like function properly in the real world. And so it's quite entertaining in the fact that like, but it does, like I talked about before, that I really didn't care for Clint. He always had come across as somewhat arrogant, somewhat incompetent in anything I'd read it Avengers wise. And this humanizes him because he's not like, is he somewhat, does he make some arrogant decisions? Does he like do some things here? But it's all, you can see the human side of why he's trying to make these decisions and why he thinks he's doing the right thing, even though he knows and yet he also screws up knowing he's screwing up. And it's just, so it brings him to a level that like you can relate to and have interest in.
He has morals, but they keep changing every day. They're not bad, just confusing or inconsistent or hypocritical. You can decide for you. What are your feelings on, because obviously the first part hinges a lot, as you said, on this mentor-mentee relationship with Kate. What are your feelings about how it's presented here and what that dynamic is like for each of them?
I mean, it's an interesting way it's presented because they start the book off with the Young Avengers presents number 6, which is not the Fraction run. And in that, basically, Kate has taken this name as the Young Avenger or whatever, because for a while, everyone thought Clint was dead, Hawkeye was dead, and everything else. She's taken on the mantle. And he basically, like, goes out of his way to like test her and kind of recruit her to help her, like to
train her up.
He wants to be. He's like, I want to be your mentor. And then by the time we get to here, is what we see is more of what we see in the TV show, which is Kate is trying to make him be her mentor because he, like, I think he wants to help her, but he doesn't know how because he doesn't know how to help himself half the time. And so he wants to help Kate and he wants to be a mentor, but he doesn't know how. So it's a lot of her like basically calling him on his BS and like making him help her. Like, and in some ways she's almost mentoring him as much as he's mentoring her. And like, you know.
Oh yes. And there's a lot of moments where he tells her what to do, knowing that it's the wrong thing. And then she does what she knows she's supposed to do, which is the right thing. And then he's like, God, she's amazing. Like he's got these moments where he's just impressed with her skills, her decision-making, because I think he recognizes he doesn't have those skills.
I mean, he recognizes she is, or has the potential to be the hero he always wanted to be. And so he is constantly, like, when you get his inner thoughts, he's constantly impressed by her and, like, very proud of the work she's doing, but he is terrible at expressing it to her.
Yep.
And so it's like he does a terrible job of actually, like, showing her. There's moments, like, we get some great moments with the two of them where he does, but he struggles as a mentor. He doesn't know how to relate to her.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. What's up? Reverend Bleeker's in the chat. What's going on, Bleak? Good to see you, sir.
And Kate is, like, through this, and we see through this, she's grasping because she's doing a great job, but she doesn't feel like she doesn't have confidence in herself to know that she's doing a lot of the time. She feels
or
like
experience in this particular vein.
To know where she needs to be and what she needs to do. And so even though she often makes the right choices, she's, you know, like I said, she's like forced, show me, I need I need to know.
Yeah. Christopher says he sees she has the potential to be the personal hero he wanted Hawkeye to be.
Yeah.
Fair. I like the relationship. I know that this is an area both with Hawkeye's personality, backstory, and the relationship with Kate that's very different from the show. So people that maybe saw the show might be confused here because that Hawkeye's a family man and is dealing with other baggage that's more connected to the Ronin storyline from the Avengers movies. And that doesn't play into this really at all. Instead, this is really focused on him trying to be a mentor, despite the fact that he doesn't necessarily have the skill set for it. And in this storyline, the time they spend together is similar as far as how they interact and the way he tries to shelter and protect her, and the way she's not having it, and the way she knows better than sometimes he knows what needs to get done. So that I think the dynamic is similar, even if Hawkeye is a very different character here than he is in the MCU, basically.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. They get the story here, despite all the elements that appear in the show, the story in the show is very different than the story here in terms of what the stakes are and what everybody's after and everything else. Now they touch on a lot of the elements, and one of the elements that they get very close is the banter and conversations between the two of them, and that back and forth, and it's
and this idea of a mantle and who owns it and who deserves it, and how they both are caretakers for this identity that they've used as a superhero each. So I think that stuff is consistent, even if again the place that Clint is coming from is totally different. I guess we should do a little time here on the Tracksuit Mafia. If we're at the beginning and we're at the start of this story, a lot of this.
Yeah, bro. We should definitely, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Talk about the Tracksuit Mafia.
The villains, which are in the Hawkeye show, the Tracksuit Mafia, are basically local organized criminals, and they have their fingers in a lot of different aspects of the city. But for Clint, the issue he's got is they're on his doorstep, right? They either own portions of the building or they are trying to control portions of the building. And he is always sort of confronting that dynamic and them by extension. You need an Eastern European accent, right?
Yeah, you need
definitely. What are your feelings about the Tracksuit Mafia and how they're used in the story and how they are villains for Clint?
I love the Tracksuit Mafia because they are in a world where you get superhero villains, where you get people with powers and you get crazy people like the Joker and all these crazy things. These are just they're more real world villains. These are just mob guys. I mean, they're basically, and they're they're Russian. They're meant to be Russian mafia or whatever, Eastern European mafia, and they run around in their tracksuits, and they don't have any special abilities. They're just bullies. They're that use their money and influence to like abuse people and take advantage of people and muscle, and they're muscle, but. Yeah, I mean, if Clint called his buddies, he could have them all wiped up in like 5 minutes.
But he's on the outs, as we see with some of them, and the more he screws up this situation,
he's chosen to walk away at this point.
Oh yeah,
the impression I get is.
Then the more he screws up the situation with them, the mafia, the more they want less to do with him. The more they have to like ostracize him in some ways.
For sure. And so it's just like, but yeah, I enjoy the more, in this case, a more realistic villain that he's dealing with. This whole group is a very realistic thing that you could see, and what they do and how they go about their business is all more based on, which for Clint fits. I mean, he's a guy with a bow. It's not. This is not Iron Man floating down in his, this
isn't Thor. Yeah, you're not. You don't need a godly powered villain for Hawkeye.
This is not even Pete swinging in and webbing these guys up in 30 seconds and being gone, and it'll be done. So
yeah, I like them as well. I think they are perfectly like menacing, but without losing their comedic elements. Like they are definitely a nice counterbalance to the Hawkeye comedy. They play off of each other very well, and they are threatening, but they're also not. They're also very entertaining at the same time.
Yes,
they're everyday goons. They are not smart, but they have money and tracksuits. Most importantly,
and there's a bunch of them. And
there is seemingly endless like henchman style goons here.
There's a bunch of them. So there's no shortage of idiots that they can run at him.
The stuff with Hawkeye and the tracksuit mafia obviously comes to a head at several different points with murders on the rooftop of the building, and Lucky, the dog, sort of.
I mean, we get Lucky in the very first issue. Like, the tracksuits, he's technically like the tracksuit's dog, but they're like abusing him in front of Clint, and so
the one-eyed dog, Lucky.
Yes.
What do you? I mean, obviously I feel like there's a theme going on here. We did the Nightwing three-legged dog. Now we got the Hawkeye
we get
one-eyed
Lucky
dog.
The pizza dog, and and Lucky is. Lucky is very well used in this story in terms of the way they use him as another element to humanize Clint, because Clint is doing self-destructive, stupid stuff, but yet he protects this dog. He takes this dog, in. He saves this dog because this dog kind of saved him for part of it, and the dog itself is like in this world, and like when we get to issue 11, whenever you want to talk about it, like the dog it's a very smart dog. It's a very
you can roll right into the
aware of its surroundings. I mean, but it's also a dog. It's not written as it's not a person. It's not speaking. This is not Donut, the sentient. It's not sentient, but it's a dog, and it's reacting in a way a dog would, even in this issue where we just follow the dog around the building, and it smells and people, and like something's wrong, and it's the puppy that it's like dealing with, and
it's issue 11 is ostensibly a silent issue. It does have some words that Lucky can recognize, like his name or Hawkeye's name or what have you. But for the most part, it's Lucky traveling around solving the mystery of this murder on the roof of the building. It's very funny. It's very clever in the style of storytelling and the way they utilize the artwork to showcase how he is thinking about this crime and tracking certain people and certain characters and their interactions and thinking over what possibly happened in certain scenarios.
All the different scents and people that he referenced, like in the dog's mind, the different things. It's like, I associate this person with that, and
Yes, and then pizza obviously being the distraction that it usually needs to be.
Always the distraction.
But it's a very fun, clever issue, used to your point, like really well and effectively. If you're allowing for comics to be more than just the typical 9-panel layouts, I think this is very enriching experience, especially with Lucky's issue.
And you talked about it, and I think what it does is a great job of, for me, is they took a chance in telling the story a different way, and they do it in a way that works. And I always love those kind of issues where like they take, this is how we write comics, and the writer and the artist are like, okay, willing to take a risk, willing to do something, a twist on something. And what's amazing is they do it in a way that works really well. The way they have Lucky when he's in different rooms, that to him that associates with different people in the building, and different objects associate with different people in the building, and how like the dog maneuvers through this world.
Right.
And they do a great job of representing it in the art and the storytelling and the way the panels are laid out. And that's where I was talking about like Aja at the beginning of everything is that, that his strength is like, he's obviously a fantastic artist in the way he draws, but his strength is, for me in this book, is the way he lays out pages and panels and tells the story.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. And it is hard when he is not on the title, because obviously he did not draw. Yeah. What's that?
It's jarring when you flip to this. You're like, oh,
Anytime he's not on the pages, it is difficult. But I don't think those are bad issues by any stretch. But it is, you get very much attached to his vision for these characters in that universe. Even the LA stuff with Kate, which we'll get to here in a little bit, is a very different animal from the stuff in New York with Pizza Dog.
For sure.
Do we want to I guess we could steer clear of villains, and probably if there's anything more you want to hit on in this little bit with the tracksuit and Lucky and Hawkeye.
I don't think so. I mean, it is. I mean, we do see, like, even Lucky, like, we also have an issue where we do have, like, the other Lucky issue is we have the Christmas issue, and they have like the little Lucky is a hero kind of thing. Which the kids are like, the neighbor kids are telling the story or whatever, or it's the cartoon special they're watching.
Is this the annual or whatever? Yeah.
Is that no? That's issue 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the kids are watching the special, and it's basically like Luck, but it turns out it's like Lucky, and it's another fun little issue on the Lucky front. But
sure.
But I do love that, like, when we get to the thing when you've talked about like Kate leaving, and Kate's like, but she's fed up, finally gets fed up with him, and she's like, Lucky come, and Lucky goes to Kate.
She takes the dog, man. She takes the dog. She took my dog. Yeah. And for those that don't know, Kate is obviously very wealthy and comes from a very well-to-do family. And so for her, she's really only sticking around because she hopes the mentor relationship will work out, but then also she feels beholden to keeping him from destroying his own life, until it gets to a phase where she's like, you know what? You're a freaking adult. Like, I'm not here to babysit you. I'm out of here. So she heads to
fed up with having to be the adult in the room.
Yeah.
Right.
So she heads out to California, and it gets sort of embroiled with where her father and stepmother are, and that whole relationship. And Madame Mask is kind of the main antagonist in that portion of her storyline. Any thoughts on Kate and Madame Mask and the Bishop family?
I mean, so obviously they set that up earlier on a mission where Kate and Clint are on together, where Clint goes on a mission and Kate like crashes it, like effectively.
Yeah.
But she manages to piss off Madame Mask. And so Madame Mask basically finds out she's in California and kind of tries to hunt her down out there, and like basically like gets her cut off from all her money, and like she's out there and like gets kicked out,
ruining her reputation. And yeah.
And I love that it takes Kate like 2 minutes to figure out, okay, this person that's like now sweeping in to help me when everything has just went wrong is clearly not somebody I should trust.
Yeah. No, she susses the whole thing out pretty early, but then at the same time doesn't quite know how to solve it. That's where it takes her a little bit more work, is to try to figure out, okay, now that I've got the diagnosis, what's the cure here?
Yeah. And we see her struggling, like she struggles on her own out there, trying to figure out like how to like get by, and trying to figure out. And she's trying to basically, like, she had went to Clint to be a mentor and to figure out, like, to learn how to be a hero on a consistent, like, okay, yeah, somebody gives us a mission on the Young Avengers and we go as a group, but how do I be a hero on my own? And how do I like help people? and she's trying to find her way out there, and she's struggling with, making the right decisions. I will say the whole storyline that becomes kind of the main thing there with the guy who can't leave and the body double stuff, like that was a little like like it was not.
It's the
super
lesser
interesting to me
storyline of the whole book for sure.
Yeah. Now, how Kate interacts with that was still very good. Like, Kate was very enjoyable to read and hang out with and be like, get more of her story. But in terms of what the villains were doing and what was happening in LA, that was kind of like that. None of that grabbed me nearly as. I didn't find any of that nearly as interesting as the stuff with Clint in New York and the tragedy.
Of course. Oh yeah. And I agree. It was necessary for Kate's journey, but it did not hit at the same level as the pizza dog New York stuff with Clint.
Yeah.
But I did like the ways, because Madame Mask, as threatening as she is a good foil for Kate. Like they both are. They both are a little entitled. They're both a little petty, and
little.
Well, I mean, Kate not as much as Madame
Kate, not as much, but no.
But I do like the two of them as rivals, and I do like the antagonism and the ways in which they go at each other. That portion, the banter and the dialogue between them is always very enjoyable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I would say the other thing that stands out to me is like that I really enjoy is Kate and her banter with the cop. This police officer that she tries to, she sort of that she runs into a couple times in a row, and then basically decides to make her own Gordon, and he doesn't want anything to do with her, and she's just like won't go away.
Yeah, she's trying to get information out of him.
He's going to be the hero, and this guy is like, oh, God help me, not another teenager who thinks they're like going to save the world,
Right?
And he is. So I do enjoy every one of those scenes because their banter back and forth is phenomenal.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. And again, it's you have to be willing to go with it, even though that portion of the story has no Clint. If you don't know Kate very well, then you have no reference point for any of the drama that's going on, because it's very distant from, to your point, the stuff we've had previously in New York, and the characters are all very new to that to the comic. Anything else in there that I mean, it's not a ton of the book. It is a smaller portion of the book by comparison to the Clint Barton stuff.
It's more of just Kate having to. I mean, it really just serves the purpose of Kate getting away from Clint, figuring out what she can do on her own, and and ultimately through the course of this, she discovers things about her folks that we see in also that comes up in the show. That that her dad is not this, just rich businessman that she thinks, that he is actually involved in with people like Madame Mask and Kingpin and others, and that she discovers a lot about him.
For sure.
So it is definitely a way for her to grow up. And when she comes back, I do think there's a little bit of she through this judges Clint a little less harshly. She still understands his I think she understands his flaws more. I think she was more disappointed in the beginning because the reason she left is he just kept letting her down. And she's like, and when she comes back, she's like, okay, he's doing what he can, and he's just a flawed guy, but it doesn't mean that together we can't be better, and that he can't still help me and I can't still help him. And I do think it's, it's necessary for her.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then when she comes back and what we get, Clint is obviously dealing with is the escalation with the mafia in New York and this assassin that they bring in called the Clown.
I want to hear, what do you think, before I say, what do you think of the Clown as a villain here?
He's the creepiest of all of the ones in this book. He really he still has like a bit of lightness to him, but he definitely is. He gets progressively creepier for me every time like we interact with him. He's supposed to be something of an assassin, and then he kind of takes over leading a group of the Tracksuit Mafia at different points. But he reminds me a little bit of Jude Law in the what's that movie with Tom Hanks where he's in the smuggling oh goodness, the gangster era. It's a comic book. Tom Hanks and Paul Newman and Daniel Craig and Jude Law.
I don't know what movie you're talking about.
Oh God, this movie, it's killing me here. It's based on a comic book, and Road to Perdition.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen that. So yeah.
Whew, that took me a while to get there. I found it. Road to Perdition. And Jude Law plays a killer in that, who is kind of an odd killer who doesn't say a whole lot, but always pulls the job off, and has a kind of some odd mannerisms, and is not. Yeah, he's just weird. He's just creepy weird.
He is creepy weird. I do. Like, we get early on when he first starts to come into the story, and before Kate leaves, there's a scene where he's like basically like sort of hitting on Kate in a very creepy way and stuff. And there's an interaction there that then just because she leaves goes nowhere. And I don't know, there's a few things with him that I feel like there's a little inconsistency and like how he brought into the story. So I felt like he wasn't quite as effective as I think the design and the way they kind of set him up as he could have been for me in terms of just, I felt like just some of the ways he was used, it was just a little bit of not, I don't know. I found him like the more we got in some cases, I got less interested. Like, I don't know.
Interesting. So. He worked for me. I was not put off by him, but I could see a little bit of what you're saying for sure. And I think that's the main villains. That's the main.
Yeah, we talked about Madam Mask, Clown, and tracksuits. That's right. I mean, you have in the background like the Kingpin and this council of like mobsters and like the big bad villains, but they never really interact with Clint or Kate in a direct way. It's always through secondhand. Like the tracksuits are like, let us do this, and Madam Mask is like, I'm gonna go, through them. We see them a few times, but really that's about it.
There's not like a simple ending to this. There's because Hawkeye's issues are going to keep going, and Kate's journey is just beginning, and the Tracksuit Mafia don't really go anywhere. But obviously, the big threat of the Clown gets eliminated. What was your feeling at the end? The way this sort of wraps up, and the way Clint, I don't want to say is left to his own devices, but he definitely has to make decisions going forward as far as like, am I still Avenger? Do I want to keep living this life? He can't seem to put the bow and arrow down, and it just kind of leaves them as both being Hawkeyes at the end.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like the wrap up here has like, this particular threat with the Tracksuit Mafia is dealt with, but they're still out there. The Clown is dealt with. Barney is not, which we haven't got to dealt with his brother yet.
We can get back to that.
There's kind of a cliffhanger there with Barney that but for me, it's really just about like at the start of the book, I think this whole, like the way I read this, and particularly given that they started with that Young Avengers issue, is it's about Clint has like seen this kid in Kate, and even though he's not really functioning as an Avenger right now, he is like, she's taken like obviously been inspired by him and taken his mantle, and he wants to help her, and he doesn't know how. And the first half of this book is him screwing up a bunch with her, and her like being super frustrated that he's not what she thinks this hero that she wants him to be. And I think through the course of this, where we get at the end of the book is they both just kind of accepted, like, they're back to get willing to team up. They're back. They're both going to be Hawkeye. And I feel like where we get to is a place where they're both like accepted the flaws of each other and mainly the flaws of Clint. And like, hey, we're going to make this work we're going to help each other get through the things that we need to get through and like with our weaknesses. So I really just think it's about their relationship coming to a place of like them actually being. Kate has accepted Clint for what he is, and Clint is gonna keep trying. And he doesn't, whether he, but she's accepted that, like, yeah, he's, he has his limitations, but I can still learn from him, and he's, I think, actively trying to learn from her and be better for her.
Yeah,
and I think that's where we get to at the end of this.
Sure, and that is satisfying as a reader to feel like I don't need a big punctuation mark on the end of this as much as I feel like there's a tiny bit of growth and these characters are in a better place, if not like a totally different place.
Right.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? Anything missing from this? We mentioned the brother Barney. I wanted to circle back to the fact that Clint's brother from their youth, obviously, and then their circus act kind of days.
I didn't know anything about the brother before. Even like when I'd read before, he doesn't come into the story really until after the part that I'd read. So
okay, he comes back into the plot here, into Clint's life in a small way, and comedically gets mistaken for Clint in one sequence. You see that issue being a Barton, it's genetic. They both have it. They are not totally different brothers. They are very similar gentlemen.
Yes.
I think there's some good comedic moments in there as they are mistaken for one another or interact with each other and have to deal with someone who is too much like them. So what were your thoughts on the Bartons?
Like Barney, the Barton brothers were like, because we get early on, like when we first get it, it's this flashback to Clint as a kid and his older brother, and it's like teaching him basically to fight and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, wait, and for me, I was like, wait, Clint has a brother? But yes, they're very much, I mean, Barney's just as much of an F up as Clint in a lot of ways. And but they're clearly, they have a relationship that like is realistic as brothers, because they clearly care about each other, but they clearly drive each other crazy in a lot of ways. And because they're so much alike, I think, and but they also call each other out on their BS and whether it works or not. And I think the relationship works here. I think it's an interesting addition. I think Barney comes into the story clearly where Clint needs somebody to else. Kate has given up on him. We've seen the interactions he's had with Natasha and his ex-wife Bobby, and then even the girl, even Jess, who they were sort of dating, and he's just let her down. And so everyone's kind of like, we're not dealing with you right now. We don't want to. And then Barney comes back in, and Clint's like, oh God, I have to deal with Barney. And it's like, because Barney's F something up and needs help. And it's like, so I think, I feel like Chris is like they're the yin and yang to each other. They're the yang. They're both the yang and the yang.
I mean, it's to a lesser extent, it reminds me of Matt and Mike Murdock, Daredevil and his brother, who usually Mike is a total screw up, but if you look at Matt Murdock's life, it's kind of screwed up too. So he's just got a better career. That's the real difference between Mike and Matt Murdock. And I think Clint and his brother have a similar dynamic in that they both struggle to lead normal lives and to be good people.
Well, I mean, Clint has clearly done more with his life and has tried to help people. Right. And whereas Barney appears to have mostly tried to help Barney and hasn't,
which is very Mike and Matt Murdock of the two of them.
And it's but through this, like you see that they're close and they care about each other, but then at the end, Barney cares more about Barney, But I do think it works. I think it's an interesting addition, and I'm glad we got some Barney Murdock in here.
A new character for you to hunt down, right? Yeah. Clint is the good-ish one, and Barney is the bad-ish one.
Yes.
And it's similar with Mike and Matt Murdock. Very similar.
So the other thing that we haven't talked about before we get to our wrap-up, because we just have a couple minutes, is you get what we get in the show, which is Clint dealing with hearing loss in the course of this book, and dealing with being deaf, and Barney trying to get him to use sign language, because apparently this isn't the first time in his life that Clint's had to deal with this sort of thing. And Clint initially just refusing to do it. And so we do get a little bit of that. How do you I'm just curious how you think that's portrayed here and in this particular story.
I liked it better on the show, that plot line, because bringing in the character of Echo fits that in a wonderful way that they didn't have the option to do here.
Right.
But I like, for the character, I like it a ton. I think it's a very human frailty to have, and it fits a character who, is a mortal palling around with the god of thunder, constantly cracking lightning in your ear. That's just on a basic level, he's going to have wear and tear on that body. And I think it makes a ton of sense for the character. I do think it's one area that the show did better because of including Echo and including that the Ronin persona as a way to kind of connect the two of them. I think it worked. Yeah.
No, I would agree with that. I do think it's better in the show. I think they bring it here, and I don't think Fraction uses it as effectively as it could have been. And I'm curious, having not really read any other Hawkeye or the immediate follow-up to this, of did they just gloss it under the table, which I'm guessing it probably just how much it really got used going forward.
Sure.
So, but which would be interesting, but it definitely was something. It was interesting that they went down the road, but I would agree with you that I think it is definitely used better in the show. So, and
it's grounding. It's a wonderful humanizing grounding tool for Clint as well. It gives you some sympathy for a very, somewhat unlikable, I suppose, character.
I mean, at times he can be pretty unlikable. Yeah. And it's almost on purpose. He almost does it to himself on purpose. So.
Oh, for sure. He is his own problem, as we've said again and again. So final thoughts, any grade that you would give this? I know you've you did a video highlighting comics that made you a fan, and this book, spoiler, did get mentioned in that.
Well, it got an honorable mention.
Yes, it got mentioned.
It did. It did. I think the reason it didn't, I considered it, but the reason it didn't is it did not. I did not end up getting inspired to read a lot of other Hawkeye stuff.
Sure,
but I enjoy this at a level that I would not have ever thought I would have enjoyed a Hawkeye story. If you told me beforehand, Fraction and Aja do a great job of, we've talked about, humanizing Clint, not avoiding his flaws and his frailties, but actually making you presenting them in a way that makes you kind of understand the character more, makes you have some stuff, humanizes him, and makes you feel for him. You get that, yes, he has these flaws, but it doesn't. He's trying, and this isn't always successful, and it's no, I think they do a great job with the character. I think Kate is really well written here, and an excellent foil for Clint as this kid, this very earnest and very high potential that Clint's trying not to ruin. And I think that's part of why why he pushes her away when he does is he feels like she's failing her, and that she's not going to reach her potential following him. And so there's So I think overall the run is excellent. I would highly recommend it. Even if you aren't a Hawkeye fan, I think it works. And these two are really great. And plus, it's got Lucky the Pizza Dog, so you can't go wrong.
And these issues are not super expensive. You could potentially get the entire run, the single issues, fairly simply and easily if you didn't feel like wanting to get an omnibus or a trade paperback edition, which are both still readily available, so easy to get a hold of. I feel the same way. I would rate this very high. This would be in the A range for me if I was giving it a letter grade, A-, somewhere in that range. It's just really, really entertaining, really fun, really easy breezy read. It catches you by surprise, lots of good laughs, and it's just a really entertaining series.
No, I would agree with all of that. So
as a reminder, this is a monthly series. Every month we're trying to pick an omnibus to read, and then the beginning of the next month we'll break it down. So the November book we're doing, Magic Lasso's very excited. We're doing George Perez Wonder Woman Volume 2. We've done Volume 1 with our friend Magic Lasso Ryan, and we've all got the second omnibus. So yes, we are all saying Wonder Woman together and reading it this month. And then hopefully somewhere at the beginning of December, we will share the thoughts on the second volume in that series. So heads up, if you want to read along, if you got the DC app or the Omni or the issues, dive right in, reread, and catch up with us when we get together again.
1,100 pages into the Omni. Ron, I haven't even stretched this Omni yet. I can't read it. I haven't done any of it.
Just haven't even cracked it open yet.
I've taken the plastic off. That's what I've done.
I think it's still on my shelf. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming by. Matt, appreciated you. Christopher, always elevating the discussion tonight. I appreciate you a ton. Okay, so there is a second Kate Bishop series after this without.
Well, yeah, there is a Kelly Thompson, Kate Bishop Hawkeye series that I've never read that I would potentially be interested in reading at this point. Yeah,
nice. Ryan, just so you understand how this works, if you've read 100 pages, you've gone way past the take the panties off.
You're past that.
Yeah. That's learn the bases. You're way past second base.
Yes.
I appreciate everybody coming by. I've got another show starting in 7 minutes here on the channel. We're going to be talking about.
I got a lot more to say. I think there's so much more to say about it. We didn't talk about.
It's going to be new comic book day books from October. So if you're a new comic book fan and you want to know about indies to pick up or what my thoughts were on that Absolute Batman annual that came out, we will be talking about that in just a little bit. Thank you, JP, for keeping me on track reading these books. I know that my scheduling can be exciting, but this has always been a lot of fun, man.
So no, I'm glad to keep doing it. This is fun. I'm enjoying it. We're finally not gonna make Ryan angry at us as we didn't as we've been putting off Wonder Woman Volume 2 a little bit.
And he's got to be happy with your haul of Omnis that you've been getting lately. So he's got a lot of Wonder Woman in the future.
There's a lot of Wonder Woman over there at the moment. So there's a lot of other stuff too. I've been buying a lot.
Yeah. Well, and we'll have a Marvel pick for December, so you guys know back and forth. We'll see what we come up with for December.
So I think we got a few options there. So
yeah. Thanks everybody for coming, and we'll see you again next time.